You're crazy. You don't need a gun.
Ted, just leave it. Come back inside.
We'll just go call the cops. Let's go.
Is my husband breathing? That voice belongs to Chrissy Block. She is standing on a porch in Whitewater Township, Hamilton County, Ohio. Her husband, Ted, a 40-year-old grandfather who had spent that evening babysitting his grandkids, is lying in the grass next door. He has been shot 12 times. Not once, not twice, 12. And the man who pulled the trigger? He's already in handcuffs, standing just feet away with what witnesses described as crazy eyes, hands in his pockets, staring at nothing. The Cole Hornsby murder case, Hamilton County, Ohio. Here's the question I want you sitting with before we go any deeper. At what point does a property line become a death sentence? Today, we're walking through every second of the body cam footage from the night of April 16, 2024, a quiet Tuesday evening that turned into a killing field over a fallen tree. We'll look at the crime, the psychology, the courtroom bombshell, and the verdict that finally gave this family something to hold on to. Stay with me. This one matters. It's 6 p.m. on a spring evening on Kilby Road in rural Whitewater Township, Hamilton County's quieter side. Think gravel driveways, backyard sheds, neighbors who know each other's dogs by name. Theodore Ted Block lives here, has for a while. He's 40 years old, the kind of guy you'd describe as the backbone of his family. That evening, Ted and his wife Chrissy are watching their grandchildren. By every account, it is an ordinary Tuesday. On the adjacent property, a rental garage belonging to the landlord next door, lives Cole Hornsby. He is 24 years old. He has been here for approximately 3 months. Before that, prison. Witnesses say his transition back into the neighborhood was anything but quiet. Now, there is this tree, a large, dead, fallen tree that landed in the yard. Specifically, it landed in the area shared by the two properties. Ted Block, being the kind of man he was, decided to take care of it. He grabbed his tools. He started cutting. That's when Cole Hornsby decided he had a problem with it. But this wasn't the first time. Family members later told officers that Cole had threatened Chrissy, Ted's wife, in the past. How? By pointing a bow and arrow at her. A bow and arrow. Police recalled, nothing escalating enough happened to get him removed, and so Cole Hornsby stayed. 3 months of escalating tension. 3 months of a family tiptoeing around the unhinged man living in the garage next door. And on April 16th, it all ran out of road. When Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies arrived, they found Ted Block on the ground, unresponsive, multiple apparent gunshot wounds. Medics pushed in immediately, working fast. Steps away, Cole Hornsby was already detained, standing near the building he lived in, hands in his pockets, staring. Not crying, not panicked, just staring. One officer would later tell another, he was just standing right here with his hands in his pockets, staring. Witnesses said after shooting Ted, Hornsby initially fled toward a nearby field, then came back. He stood over Ted's body. He shook it. Then he walked back inside. Let that sink in. Cole Hornsby is placed in the back of a patrol car. And this is where it gets psychologically fascinating, and where the body cam gives us our clearest window into who this man is. The moment officers try to remove his belt, as protocol requires before placing him in a holding cell, Hornsby resists, immediately combative. Sure. Put my belt back on, man. Get in the car. Why are you taking my belt off? I'm taking everything you've got. No, you're not. Sit down. He just shot a man 12 times, and he's arguing about a belt. Clinical psychologists who study this behavioral pattern call it displacement aggression. When someone cannot process the full weight of what they've done, they redirect emotional energy towards something small and controllable, the belt, the belongings, the minor procedural friction, because engaging with the actual thing would mean confronting it. But it gets stranger. At the booking station, Officers are required to ask medical questions, and here is where a seasoned officer's training kicks in, what I'm calling the medical question bypass. The booking officer says something remarkably calculated. I don't want to know anything about your incident. Don't want to ask you anything about your incident. Now, why would an officer tell a suspect he doesn't want to know about the crime? This is not accidental. Under Miranda v. Arizona 384 U.S. 436, 1966, officers cannot interrogate a suspect without a Miranda warning and voluntary waiver. But booking and medical intake questions, those are different. The officer is drawing a sharp, deliberate line, establishing a zone of psychological safety. I'm not your interrogator. I'm just making sure you're medically okay. It lowers the suspect's defenses, creates a false sense of neutral ground. And it works, at least partially. Hornsby begins talking, not about the shooting, but he talks about Post Malone, about medical fraud, about a hospital bill. A hospital bill? This man just killed a grandfather in front of his wife, and within 40 minutes he's in a booking room rambling about a medical bill? Forensic psychiatrists call this kind of fragmented tangential speech a potential indicator of a dissociative state, a mind incapable or unwilling to fully integrate what it has just done. Whether that represents a diagnosable condition or simply the mind of a man who doesn't feel remorse, the jury would ultimately decide. And they decided. Back at the scene, Chrissy Block, Ted's wife, the woman who was standing right there, is seated on the porch with an officer trying to collect herself. Her account is methodical, shattered, and searing.
My husband was cutting the tree that fell, and he went over there and told him to put the gun away. He was pointing the bow and arrow at me, and my husband said, "You're crazy, pointing the bow and arrow at my wife. You don't need a gun." And he started running his mouth. I said, "Ted, we'll just go call the cops." And Ted started walking away. And then he said something. My husband turned around. He just shot him.
Ted Block didn't throw a punch. He didn't reach for a weapon. He didn't have one. He turned around to walk away and call the police. And Cole Hornsby let him take a few steps. Then he said something that made Ted turn back around. According to a witness affidavit, those words were, "Take this, B." And then he opened fire.
I just heard pop, pop, pop. He unloaded the clip on my husband.
12 shots. One fully loaded clip emptied into an unarmed man who was walking away. And then Cole Hornsby ran toward a nearby field. Chrissy ran inside to call 911. When she peeked out her back door moments later, Hornsby had come back. He was standing over Ted's body, shaking him. The gun, the black handgun she described to investigators as all black, was not immediately found. Police searched the scene. No weapon. Hornsby had hidden it. It was later recovered in a backyard shed on the property. Tampering with evidence. Hiding the murder weapon after the murder. This is not the behavior of a man who believed he acted in self-defense. This is the behavior of a man who knew exactly what he had done. Meanwhile, Ted's family was gathering. His stepdaughter, his daughter, Aliyah. Officers trying to manage both a crime scene and a family falling apart in real time. One exchange between officers caught on body cams says everything. "You don't even know your neighbor's name, and he killed your husband for cutting down a dead tree." A dead tree. That's all this was. Now I want to take you back to the moment it happened, reconstructed from Chrissy's testimony, the witness affidavits, and the body cam documentation. It is 6 p.m. The sun is still up. The air smells like cut wood and spring grass. Theodore Block, Ted, is in the yard, chainsaw off, hands visible. He's heard something that brought him to the property line. Cole Hornsby is standing there, armed. In the past, Cole pointed a bow and arrow at Chrissy. They called the police once before. Ted knows this man is unstable, but Ted Block is a protector. He walks over. He tells Hornsby, "You're crazy. You don't need a gun. Let's just go call the cops." And then, most critically, Ted turns his back. He turns away. He walks toward his home. He is done. He is leaving. In the eyes of the law, the threat was over the moment Ted turned away. Cole Hornsby said something. We know from the affidavit it was a taunt, a provocation. Take this, B. Ted turns around, and Cole opens fire. Audio, 12 rapid gunshots, raw, unedited, from audio testimony. 12 shots, not one round fired in warning, not a shot to the leg. 12 shots into a man's back, stomach, and legs. And when that man was down, face down in the grass, forensic experts testified that Cole Hornsby stood over him and fired one final round directly into the middle of his back. Theodore Ted Block was pronounced dead on the scene. His grandchildren were inside the house. Cole Hornsby was arrested, booked on first-degree murder and tampering with evidence, and held on no bond. His trial lasted 2 weeks, and it was a masterclass in prosecutorial precision. The defense tried everything. They argued self-defense. The forensic evidence destroyed it. You cannot claim self-defense when you shoot a man in the back as he walks away, then fire again while he lies face down. Under Tennessee v. Garner, 471 U.S. 1, 1985, the Supreme Court made it unambiguous. Deadly force against a non-threatening, fleeing person violates the Constitution. Cole Hornsby didn't just violate the law, he violated the most basic principle of civilized human conduct. The defense argued that admitting evidence of Hornsby's prior conviction was an abuse of discretion, a 404B challenge. The court disagreed. That prior conviction came in. The jury heard all of it. On January 22, 2026, after 2 weeks of trial and deliberation, the jury came back guilty. 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, 1 count of tampering with evidence. On February 26, 2026, Hamilton County Common Pleas Judge Jennifer Branch looked Cole Hornsby in the eye and sentenced him to the maximum allowable sentence, 24 years to life. Before sentencing, Ted's daughter Aaliyah spoke. Her words should be read by every person who wonders whether the justice system still works. Cole Hornsby, a man who should stay behind bars for as long as his heart beats. A coward of a man who took an innocent life for no reason at all but his own pleasure. A man who can't admit that his decisions he made that night were never an act of self-defense, but him firing on an unarmed, non-threatening man that was only trying to protect his family from the psychopath next door. When Judge Branch asked Hornsby if he had anything to say for himself, he replied, "That's all." 2 words for a man's life. The prosecution put it plainly. Ted Block should be alive today. While no sentence can bring him back, this ensures the community will be safe from Cole Hornsby for as long as possible. I want to close on something that I think gets overlooked in cases like this. We talk a lot about gun violence in America. We debate policy, politics, constitutional rights, and those conversations matter. But this case isn't primarily about guns. It's about what happens when someone with a documented history of violence, with a documented history of threatening behavior, with crazy eyes, as the people who knew him described, is released from prison and placed back into a residential community, and the system doesn't close the gap fast enough. Ted Block's family called the police before. They documented the bow and arrow threat. They tried to use the system. And the system, through no single person's fault, didn't move fast enough. DeShaney v. Winnebago established that the government has no general constitutional duty to protect citizens from private violence. The courts have said this, which means the responsibility to protect yourself and your family legally, lawfully, through documentation and escalation, lies largely with you. Know your neighbors, document threats, file reports, every single time. Because Ted Block did almost everything right. He tried to de-escalate. He turned his back to walk away. He told his wife to call the cops. The only thing he couldn't have prepared for was a man with no conscience, an unregistered handgun, and a simmering rage that no policy or warning sign fully captured until it was too late. Cole Hornsby will be eligible for parole in 24 years. He'll be 50 years old. Ted Block's grandchildren will have grown up without their grandfather. That's the real sentence in this story. Justice was served in this case, and I believe that matters. I believe in saying it clearly, out loud, without hedging. Cole Hornsby shot an unarmed man 12 times in the back over a dead tree. He hid the murder weapon. He claimed self-defense. A jury of his peers rejected every word of it, and a judge gave him the maximum. For Ted Block, for Chrissy, for Aliyah, for those grandchildren. 24 years to life. If this case hit you the way it hit me, drop a comment below. I want to know what you think about the prior record evidence, the self-defense claim, the bow and arrow incident that didn't get acted on. And if you think 24 to life is justice served or not enough, I want to hear from you. Like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.